Alright. Today, we back reading Art of Seduction. We doing the dandy. One of the 9 characters of seduction. Let's start. The dandy. Most of us feel trapped within the limited roles that the world expects us to play. We are instantly attracted to those who are more fluid, more ambiguous than we are, those who create their own persona. Dandies excite us because they cannot be categorized and hint at a freedom we want for ourselves. They play with masculinity and femininity. They fashion their own physical image, which is always startling. They are mysterious and elusive. They also appeal to the narcissism of each sex. To a woman, they are psychologically female. To a man, they are male. Dandies fascinate and seduce in large numbers. Use the power of the dandy to create an ambiguous, alluring presence that stirs repressed desires. Damn. People be wanting to have some people out here that got some repressed desires of fucking with the same sex. It sounds like something. The feminine dandy. When the 18-year-old Rodolfo Giuliani, when the 18-year-old Rodolfo Giuliani immigrated from Italy to the United States in 1913, he came with no particular skills apart from his good looks and his dancing prowess. To put these qualities to advantage, he found work in the stunts, the Manhattan dance halls where young girls would go alone or with friends and hire a taxi dancer for a brief thrill. The taxi dancer would expertly twirl them around the dance floor, flirting and chatting, all for a small fee. Giuliani soon made a name as one of the best, so graceful, poised, and pretty. And working as a taxi dancer, Giuliani spent a great deal of time around women. He quickly learned what pleased them, how to mirror them in subtle ways, how to put them at ease, but not too much. He began to pay attention to his clothes, creating his own dapper look. He danced with a corset under his shirt to give himself a trim figure, sported a wristwatch considered effeminate in those days, and claimed to be a marquis. In 1915, he landed a job demonstrating the tango in fancy restaurants and changed his name to the more evocative Rodolfo di Valentina. A year later, he moved to Los Angeles. He wanted to try to make it in Hollywood. So he was changing his look. So you got to pay attention. You pay attention to what women like and getting himself a little bit more feminine and doing a little shit. But this nigga, heterosexual. Let's keep reading, y'all. Now known as Rodolfo Valentino, Giuliani appeared as an extra in several low-budget pictures. He eventually landed a somewhat larger role in the 1919 film Eyes of Youth, in which he played a seducer and caught women's attention by how different a seducer he was. His movements were graceful and delicate, his skin so smooth, his face so pretty that when he swooped down on his victim and drowned her protest with a kiss, he seemed more thrilling than sinister. Next came The Four Horsemen of the Apocalypse, in which Valentino played the male lead, Julio the Playboy, and became an overnight sex symbol through a tango sequence in which he seduced a young woman by leading her through the dance. Damn. Hey, Rodolfo. Let's see. See, he might be like on some little Uzi or something. Or Prince. He might be like on some Prince shit. The scene encapsulated the essence, encapsulated the scene encapsulated the essence of his appeal. His feet smooth and fluid, his poise almost feminine, combined with an air of control. Female members of the audience literally swooned as he raised a married woman's hands to his lips or shared the fragrance of a rose with his lover. He seemed so much more attentive to women than other men did, but mixed in with his delicacy was a hint of cruelty and menace that drove women wild. Damn. So he was all soft as hell, but see, women saw that he got a deeper side to him. I really know him. Damn. See, why niggas talking about, ooh, that soft ass? I know him. He's not like that. Ha ha. Boy, cold. In his most famous film, Chic, Valentino played an Arab prince, later revealed to be a Scottish lord abandoned in the Sahara as a baby, who rescues a proud English lady in the desert, then conquers her, in a manner that borders on rape. Damn, what? I mean on grape. That borders on grape. When she asks, "What have you brought me here? Why have you brought me here?" he replies, "Are you not woman enough to know?" This nigga crazy. Yet she ends up falling in love with him, as indeed women did in movie audiences all over the world, thrilling at his strange blend of the feminine and masculine. In one scene in The Sheik, the English lady points a gun at Valentino. His response is to point a delicate cigarette holder back at her. What? Hey, man, that's crazy. She wears pants. He wears long, flowing robes and abundant eye makeup. Later, films will include scenes of Valentino dressing and undressing, a kind of striptease showing glimpses of his trim body. In almost all of his films, he plays some exotic period character, a Spanish bullfighter, an Indian Raja, an Arab sheik, a French nobleman, and he seemed to delight in dressing up in jewels and tight uniforms. Pause. Dog was trying he was free. In the 1920s, women were beginning to play with a new sexual freedom. Instead of waiting for a man to be interested in them, they wanted to be able to initiate the affair, but they still wanted the man to end up sweeping them off their feet. Val- Valentino understood this perfectly. His off-screen life corresponded to his movie image. He wore bracelets on his arm, dressed impeccably, and reportedly was cruel to his wife and hit her. God damn, what the hell? His adoring public carefully ignored his two failed marriages and his apparently non-existent sex life. What? That's crazy. When he suddenly died in New York in August 1926 at the age of 31 from complications after surgery for an ulcer, the response was unprecedented. More than 100,000 people filled by, filled by his coffin. Many female mourners became hysterical, and the whole nation was spellbound. Nothing like this had happened before for a mere actor. Damn, he took over the world, young dog. He died on some bull. But a couple of these people you read died on some, like, crazy weird shit. There is a film of Valentino's, Monsieur Buquier, in which he plays a total fop, a much more effeminate role than he normally played. And without his usual hint of dangerousness, the film was a flop. Women did not respond to Valentino as a swish. They were thrilled by the ambiguity of a man who shared many of their own feminine traits, yet remained a man. Valentino dressed and played with his physicality like a woman, but his image was masculine. He wooed as a woman woo if she were a man. He wooed as a woman would woo if she were a man, slowly, attentively, paying attention to details, setting a rhythm instead of hurrying to a conclusion. Yet, when the time came for boldness and conquest, his timing was impeccable, overwhelming his victim and giving her no chance to protest. In his movies, Valentino practiced the same gigolo's art of leading a woman on that he had mastered as a teenager on the dance floor. Chatting, flirting, pleasing, but always in control. My boy, my boy Rodolfo Valentino. This nigga was smooth. You know, he was feminine, but he really wasn't. He was just, or maybe he really was. He's like one of them bitch ass niggas. Hit his wife, fuck you, bitch. Ah, niggas he ain't. Well, maybe I don't know if he was fighting the niggas too. Mm. Valentino remains an enigma to this day. His private life and his character are wrapped in mystery. His image continues to seduce as it did during his lifetime. He served as the model for Elvis Presley, who was obsessed with the start of the silence, and also for the modern male dandy who plays with gender but retains an edge of danger and cruelty. Damn. Seduction was and will always remain the female form of power and warfare. It was originally the antidote to rape and violence. The man who uses this form of power on a woman is in essence turning the game around, employing feminine weapons against her without losing his masculine identity. Okay, hold on, let me start. The man who uses this form of power on a woman is in essence turning the game around, employing feminine weapons against her without losing his masculine identity. The more subtle feminine he becomes, the more effective the seduction. Do not be one of those who believe that what is most seductive is being devastatingly masculine. The feminine dandy has much more sinister effect. He lures the woman in with exactly what she wants, a familiar, pleasing, graceful presence. Mirroring feminine psychology, he displays attention to his appearance, sensitivity to detail, a slight coquettishness, but also a hint of male cruelty. Women are narcissists. Women are narcissists in love with the charms of their own sex. By showing them feminine charm, a man can mesmerize and disarm them, leaving them vulnerable to a bold masculine move. Damn. The feminine dandy can seduce on a mass scale. No single woman really possesses him. He is too elusive, but all can fantasize about doing so. The key is ambiguity. The key is ambiguity. I can, your sexuality is decidedly heterosexual, but your body and psychology float delightfully back and forth between the two poles. Pause. But yeah, so it's like a Prince type nigga, Lil Uzi. You know what I'm saying? Niggas fighting and wilding, doing all type of shit, but got them little feminine characteristics and traits and little clothes and shit they wear and little styles. You know what I'm saying? Facial expressions and all of that. You know what I mean? That's crazy. But that's what, like, when you watch them dating podcasts or shows and all them people in red pill and whatever they be talking about, that's what they be saying. You know, women are attracted to what they're familiar with. You know, them good sense, the stuff they, you know, guy who take care of it the way he look. You could be ugly, kinda, but you attend to how you look, how you smell, how you dress, what you wearing. You know, like how a woman is. You know, you coquettish, attitudey, moody. You know, you hot and cold, like a woman, like a bitch. You know what I'm saying? And all type of little ways you got. You know what I'm saying? Hey, it worked. But you got to figure out, I guess, if you straight up masculine, all the way masculine, you could take pieces out of this and keep yourself like keeping up with your appearance, smelling good, putting the cologne on, your haircuts or hair braided done, or you know what I'm saying, facial hairs, what you wear, how you wear your clothes, what you insinuate with your clothes, you know what I'm saying? So, hey man, all right, now we about to go. So now that was the feminine dandy. Now I guess we about to go to the masculine dandy. But they might use a woman this time. So, because the feminine dandy was a man. Because this could be a man or a woman. You know what I'm saying? The only two that was deliberately for a man or a woman so far has been the siren and the rake. All right, let's keep going. The masculine dandy. In the 1870s, Pastor Henrik Gellert was the darling of the St. Petersburg intelligentsia. Intelligentsia. He was young, handsome, well-read in philosophy and literature, and he preached a kind of enlightened Christianity. Dozens of young girls had crushes on him and would flock to his sermons just to look at him. In 1878, however, he met a girl who changed his life. Her name was Lou Von Salome, later known as Lou Andreas Salome, and she was 17. He was 42. Aw, man. One of them young, one of them young little joints then got him, little young tender. Salome was pretty, with radiant blue eyes. She had read a lot, particularly for a girl her age, and was interested in the gravest physiolo- physiolo- uh, physio- physiolo- philosophical and religious issues. Philosophical. She was interested in the gravest philosophical. Blah, blah, blah. Woo, boy, that was bad. Damn, they're gonna fry me on that one. Salome was pretty and radiant blue, with radiant blue eyes. She had read a lot, particularly for a girl her age, and was interested in the gravest philosophical and religious issues. Her intensity and her intelligence, her responsiveness to ideas, cast a spell over her responsiveness to ideas cast a spell over Gillette. When he entered Gillette, when he entered his office for her increasingly frequent discussions with him, the place seemed brighter and more alive. Perhaps she was flirting with him in the unconscious manner of a young girl. Yet, when Gillette admitted to himself that he was in love with her and proposed marriage, Salome was horrified. The confused pastor never quite got over Louvain Salome becoming the first of the long string of famous men to be the victim of a lifelong unfulfilled infatuation with her. Damn. Hold on. Now, this is different. She ain't had, now these other people was having sex with people. She ain't had sex with nobody. Okay, let's see how this go. In 1882, the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche was wandering around Italy alone. In Genoa, he received a letter from his friend, Paul Ray, a Perusian philosopher. Yeah, a Perusian philosopher whom he admired, recounting his discussions with a remarkable young Russian woman, Louvain Salome, in Rome. Salome was there on holiday with her mother. Ray had managed to accompany her on long walks through the city, unchaperoned, and they had many conversations. Her ideas on God and Christianity were quite similar to Nietzsche's. And when Ray had told her that the famous philosopher was a friend of his, she had insisted that he invite Nietzsche to join them. In subsequent letters, Ray described how mysteriously captivating Salome was and how anxious she was to meet Nietzsche. The philosopher soon went to Rome. When Nietzsche finally met Salome, he was overwhelmed. She had the most beautiful eyes. She had the most beautiful eyes he had ever seen. And during their first long talk, those those eyes lit up so intensely that he could not help feeling there was something erotic about her excitement. Damn, she wasn't even trying nothing, and he already sexualizing her. That's crazy. Yet he was also confused. Yet he was also confused. Salome kept her distance and did not respond to his compliments. What a devilish young woman. A few days later, she read him a poem of hers. He cried. Her ideas about life were so like his own. Deciding to seize the moment, Nietzsche proposed marriage. He did not know that Ray had done so as well. Damn, she already had his man's proposed to her. Who is this girl? She called Salome. Okay, Salome. She got these niggas in a frenzy. Salome declined. Damn, she was interested in philosophy, life, adventure, not marriage. Undaunted, Nietzsche continued to court her. On an excursion to Lake Orta with Ray, Salome, and her mother, he managed to get the girl alone, accompanying her on a walk up Monte Sacro, on Monte Sacro, while the others stayed behind. Apparently, the views in Nietzsche's words had the proper passionate effect. In a later letter to her, he described this walk as the most beautiful dream of my life. Now he was a man possessed. Now he was a man possessed. All he could think about was marrying Salome and having her all to himself. Damn. That don't even sound like she really trying nothing. Dog was just all on her, so how did she seduce him? Why was it just being so cold? Because I'm trying to figure it out. Because she ain't doing nothing but declining this nigga and declining everybody. But just being more, you know what I'm saying? Shit, everything somebody want. Exciting, looking good, talk about the shit I like to talk about. You know, good shit I like talking about. Man, I don't know. That's crazy. So let's see. A few months later, Salome visited Nietzsche in Germany. They took long walks together and stayed up all night discussing philosophy. She mirrored his deepest thoughts, anticipated his ideas about religion. Yet, when he again proposed marriage, she scolded him as a conventional. God damn. She scolded him as conventional. Damn. She being super, like she damn near being abusive. She know this nigga love her. She keeps saying no. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? But he tripping. She kind of ain't even being mean for real, because like she keep telling you no. Damn. Yet, when it was Nietzsche, after all, who had developed a philosophical defense of the Superman, the man above everyday morality. Yet, Salome was by nature far less conventional than he was. Her firm, uncompromising manner only deepened the spell she cast over him, as did her hint of cruelty. That how she cruel, that's the masculine part. The cruelty is the masculine part. When she finally left him, making it clear that she had no intention of marrying him, Nietzsche was devastated. As an antidote to his pain, he wrote, "Thus spake Zarathustra, Zarathustra, thus spake, thus spake, thus spake Zarathustra," a book full of sublimated eroticism and deeply inspired by his talks with her. From then on, Salome was known throughout Europe as the woman who had broken Nietzsche's heart. Salome moved to Berlin. Soon, the city's greatest intellectuals were falling under the spell of her independence and free spirit. The playwrights Gerhard Hauptmann and Franz Wettkein became infatuated with her. In 1897, Austrian poet, the great Austrian poet Rainer Maria Rilke fell in love with her. By that time, her reputation was widely known, and she was a published novelist. This certainly played a part in seducing Rilke or Rauch. Mm. But, but he was also attracted by a kind of masculine energy he found in her that he had never seen in a woman. Rauch was then 22, Salome 36. He wrote her love letters and poems, followed her everywhere, and began an affair with her that was to last several years. She corrected his poetry, imposed discipline on his overly romantic verse, inspired ideas for new poems, but she was put off by his childish dependence on her, his weakness. Unable to stand weakness of any kind, she eventually left him, consumed by her memory. Rauch long continued to pursue her. In 1926, lying on his deathbed, he begged his doctors, "Ask Lou what is wrong with me. She is the only one who knows." God damn. She put the Mac down. Jesus Christ. God damn, Salome or Salome? One man wrote of Salome. There was something terrifying about her embrace. Looking at her with her radiant blue eyes, she would say, "The reception of the semen is for me the height of ecstasy." Wait, hold up, hold on. She's saying some freaky, wild shit right here. One man wrote of Salome. There was something terrifying about her embrace. Looking at you with her radiant blue eyes, she would say, "The reception of the semen is for me the height of ecstasy." And she had an insatiable appetite for it. She was completely immoral, a vampire. Oh my God. Oh, she was freaking these niggas out. She was, for a lack of a better word, let's say this, she was swallowing. She was cutting up. They wasn't ready for this bitch. Hey, dog, talking back then, this nigga basically said she was giving him the coldest of head. Listen to this, bro. Hey, dog. Hey, man. You can't make this shit up, dude. Hey, dog, you can't make this shit up. Bro. This nigga say she was a vampire. She was completely immoral. She was a vampire. So she had an appetite for it. Dog. Hey, man. Hey, dog. Hey. Oh, man, let me chill out. Let me get back. The Swedish psychotherapist Paul Gerrer, one of her later conquests, wrote, "I think Nietzsche was right when he said that Lou was a thoroughly evil woman. Evil, however, in the Goethean sense, evil that produces good. She may have destroyed lives and marriages, but her presence was exciting." These niggas, hey, they talk about, "I don't care if she ruined my life and my marriage and everything, man, but that time with her, boy, I'd do it again." Lou is the golden. Lou Salome. What the fuck is they talking about? She was the truth. The two emotions. But it was sounding in the beginning like she wasn't doing nothing to seduce him. Or at least not on purpose. You know what I mean? Because most of these seductions, it was like a purpose. Like they was doing it on purpose. None of her shit sound like it was. It had intention to it, for real. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe it's me. Or maybe I could break it down, but it wouldn't sound like that to me. The two emotions that almost every male felt in the presence of Lou and Drea Salome were confusion and excitement. The two prerequisites, the two prerequisite feelings for any successful seduction. People were intoxicated by her strange mix of the masculine and the feminine. She was beautiful with a radiant smile and a graceful, flirtatious manner, but her independence and her intensely analytical nature made her seem oddly male. This ambiguity, this am, this ambiguity, this ambiguity, this ambiguity, this ambiguity was expressed in her eyes, which were both coquettish and probing. It was confusion that kept men interested and curious. No other woman was like this. They wanted to know more. The excitement stemmed from her ability to stir up repressed desires. She was a complete non-conformist and had to be involved with her was to break all kinds of taboos. Her masculinity made the relationship seem vaguely homosexual. Damn. Her slightly cruel, slightly domineering streak could stir up mash, mashish, mashik yearnings, as it did in Nietzsche. Salome radiated a forbidden sexuality, her powerful effect on men, the lifelong infatuations, the suicides. There were several. The periods of intense creativity, the The descriptions of her as a vampire or a devil attest to the obscure depths of the psyche that she was able to reach and disturb. God damn. So she was breaking these niggas down to the core and had them feeling like they was fucking with a man, but feel so comfortable because they know she a woman, but it gave them like they was fucking with. So I guess in a sense, it's like you fucking with a girl. You know what I'm saying? But she like one of the bros. She like one of the, she like your man. She like your nigga, like your dog. But she fine as hell. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that makes sense. So I guess it's vaguely, that's why I say it's a relationship seems vaguely homosexual. Because you hang with one of your guys, one of your partners, one of your bros, but she a beautiful ass woman. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't nothing homosexual about it. It's really all heterosexual, but I get what they mean. But she was breaking them down to the core. She had people committing do or dies on themselves. You know what I mean? Dang, that's crazy. And you'll know what I mean when I said that, so don't make fun of me. I come up with a better word to say in these times when they say these words that I'm gonna get pinged for and hit for and stuff like that. But I'm just doing this for information. I'm reading it, dude. But hey, whatever. The masculine dandy succeeds by reversing the normal pattern of male superiority in matters of love and seduction. A man's apparent independence, his capacity for de- detachment, often seems to give him the upper hand in the dynamic between men and women. A purely feminine woman will arouse desire, but it is always vulnerable to the man's capricious loss of interest. A purely masculine woman, on the other hand, will not arouse that interest at all. Damn. See? Stop being masculine women. If you too masculine for shit, sure, a nigga ain't gonna like you. Follow the path of the masculine dandy, however, and you neutralize all a man's powers. Follow the path of the masculine dandy, however, and you neutralize all a man's powers. Never give completely of yourself. While you are passionate and sexual, always retain an air of independence and self possession. You might move on to the next man, or so he will think. You have other, more important matters to concern yourself with, such as your work. Men do not know how to fight women who use their own weapons against them. They are intrigued, aroused, and disarmed. Few men can resist the taboo pleasures offered up to them by the masculine dame. Damn, now that's deep. Damn, there's a whole lot of truth to that. That was cold. That was cold blooded on that one. That was cold blooded on that one. Can't lie. All right, we almost done. Keys to the character. All right, keys to the character. Many of us today imagine that sexual freedom has progressed in recent years, that everything has changed, for better or worse. This is mostly an illusion. A reading of history reveals periods of licentiousness, Imperial Rome, late 17th century England, the floating world of 18th century Japan, far in excess of what we are currently experiencing. Gender roles are certainly changing, but they have changed before. Society is in a state of constant flux, but there is something that does not change. The vast majority of people conform to whatever is normal for the time. They play the role allotted to them. Conformity conformity is a constant because humans are social creatures who are always imitating one another. At certain points in history, it may be fashionable to be different and rebellious, but if a lot of people are playing that role, there's nothing different or rebellious about it. See, you got to be somewhat different than what's going on with the world today, with society. That's one of the keys. We should never complain about most people's slavish conformity. However, for it offers untold possibilities of power and seduction to those who are up for a few risks. Dandies have existed in all ages and cultures. All Alcibiades in ancient Greece, Korchika in late 10th century Japan, and whatever and wherever they have gone, they have thrived on the conformist role playing of others. The dandy displays a true and radical difference from other people, a difference of appearance and manner. Since most of us are secretly oppressed by our lack of freedom, we are drawn to those who are more fluid and flaunt their difference. Everybody likes somebody that's different. That's like a lot of people always attracted to the new person. What's new? The new thing. Because it's different. You ain't seen this before. You know, you don't know what this is. But a lot of people don't like change or don't like things that's different. But we gonna get to that. Dandies seduce. Dandies seduce socially as well as sexually. Groups form around them. Their style is wildly imitated. Their style is widely imitated. An entire court or crowd will fall in love with them. In adapting the dandy character for your own purposes, remember that the dandy is by nature a rare and beautiful flower. Be different in ways that are both striking and aesthetic, never vulgar. Poke fun at current trends and styles. Go in a novel direction and be supremely uninterested in what anyone else is doing. Most people are insecure. They will wonder what you what they will wonder what you are up to, and slowly they will come to admire and imitate you because you express yourself with total confidence. See, they ain't got no choice. That's how it start. They start, oh, hating on you. I don't like that. What? Making fun of it. Next thing you know, they all over it. It happen all the time because you confident and you don't give a fuck. And people hate somebody that's ignoring them. They don't understand. And people don't like not to be accepted or to be ignored. The dandy was tradition. The dandy has traditionally been defined by clothing, and certainly most dandies create a unique visual style. Bew Brummel, the most famous dandy of all, will spend hours on his toilet, particularly the inimitably styled knot in his necktie, for which he was famous throughout early 19th century England. But a dandy style cannot be obvious, for dandies are subtle and never try hard for attention. Attention comes to them. See, I like that. They don't try hard for attention. Attention comes to them. They ain't about to overly do all this shit too much. The person whose clothes are flagrantly different has little imagination or taste. Dandies show their difference in the little touches that mark their disdain for convention. Theophile Gutierrez red vest, Oscar Wilde's green velvet suit, Andy Warhol's silver wigs. The great English Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli had two magnificent canes, one for morning, one for evening. At noon, he would change canes, no matter where he was. The female dandy works similarly. The female dandy works similarly. She may adopt male clothing, say, but if she does a touch, she may adopt male clothing, say, but if she does a touch here or there will set her truly apart. No man ever dressed quite like George Sand. The overtall hat, the riding boots worn on the streets of Paris made her a sight to behold. George Sand was a woman, or I don't know. Remember, there must be a reference point. If your visual style is totally unfamiliar, people will think you at best an obvious attention getter, at worst crazy. Instead, create your own fashion sense by adapting and altering prevalent styles to make yourself an object of fascination. Do this right, and you'll be wildly imitated. The court, the Count d'Orsay, a great London dandy of the 1830s and 1840s, was closely watched by fashionable people. One day, caught in a sudden London rainstorm, he bought a pot a kind of heavy hooded duffel coat, off the back of a Dutch sailor. The pot immediately became the coat to wear. Having people imitate you, of course, is a sign of your powers of seduction. So, when you see people copying you got to be careful. You know, some of it is flattery and a form that you seducing them and that they falling for it. But some of it be some hate, stealing. You know what I'm saying? Trying to so still be aware. Always have your awareness. The nonconformity of dandies, however, goes far beyond appearances. It is an attitude toward life that sets them apart. Adopt that attitude, and a circle of followers will form around you. See, that's how you get. So, you might get outcasted. You might get outcasted at first. You might get talked about. You might gotta defend yourself, prove yourself or something a couple times. But the followers will come. You keep because but you gotta do it the right way. So you can't be too vulgar, too much on one side, because too many people gonna think you're crazy, or think you dumb or weak or whatever the fuck. But anyway, let's go on. Dandies are supremely impotent. They don't give a damn about other people. They never try to please. And in the court of Louis of Louis XIV, the writer La Burier noticed that courtiers who tried hard to please were invariably on the way down. Nothing were Nothing was more anti-seductive. A a Barbie as Barbie D. Averili, Averili as Barbie D. Averili wrote, dandies please women by displeasing them. Damn, that's cold. That's deep. They please women by displeasing them. Now that's different. And, and, and pundits was fundamental to the appeal of Oscar Wilde. In a London theater one night, after the first performance of one of Wilde's plays, the ecstatic audience yelled for the author to appear on stage. Wilde made them wait and wait, and then finally emerged, smoking a cigarette and wearing an expression of total disdain. It may be bad manners to appear here smoking, but it but it was far worse to disturb me when I am smoking. He scolded his fans. The cow This nigga was cold blooded. The Count Orsay impotent was equally impotent. At a London club one night, a Rothschild who was notoriously cheap accidentally dropped a gold coin on the floor, then bent down to look for it. The Count immediately whipped out 1,000 franc note. Oh, this nigga balled on this nigga. Hold on. Hold on. The Count d'Orsay. The Count d'Orsay. Okay, the Count d'Orsay was equally impotent. At a London club one night, a Rothschild, who was notoriously cheap, accidentally dropped a gold coin on the floor, then bent down to look for it. The Count immediately whipped out 1,000 franc note worth much more than the coin, rolled it up, lit it like a candle, and got down on all fours as if to help light the way in the search. Hey, he cold blooded for that one. I like that one. That boy is the truth. Only a dandy could get away with such audacity. The insolence of the rake is tied up with his desire to conquer a woman. He cares for nothing else. The insolence of the dandy, on the other hand, is aimed at society and its conventions. It is not a woman he cares to conquer, but a whole group, an entire social world. And since people are generally oppressed by the obligation of always being polite and self-sacrificing, they are delighted to spend time around a person who disdains such niceties. That's crazy. The dandies, hey, don't sleep on these dandies. These niggas kind of cold. Dandies are masters of the art of living. They live for pleasure, not for work. They surround themselves with beautiful objects and eat and drink with the same relish they show for their clothes. This was how the great Roman writer Petronius, author of the Satyricon was able to seduce the Emperor Nero. Unlike the dull Seneca, the great Stoic thinker and Nero's tutor, Petronius, Petronius knew Petronius Petronius knew how to make every detail of his life a grand aesthetic adventure. From a feast to a simple conversation, this is not an attitude you should impose on those around you. You can't make yourself a nuisance. But if you simply seem socially confident and sure of your taste, people will be drawn to you. The key is to make everything an aesthetic choice. Your ability to Elevate boredom by making life an art will make your company highly prized. So it's not by having grand things, it's by making people know this is what you do. You know, just for the fact of the matter, I ain't doing this because you here or okay. I do this shit every day. I got beautiful taste, beautiful, and they can sense it off you. You know what I'm saying? That's why I keep saying it's an attitude. It gotta radiate out you that this is what I do. I dress like I live like this. This is how I see the world. Ain't no motherfucking special occasion, motherfucker. For example, him burning $1,000 frame for no damn reason, acting like it's a candle. You know what I'm saying? This is what the fuck I do. This shit ain't no object. You know what I'm saying? The opposite sex is a strange country we can never know, and this excites us, creates the proper sexual tension, but it is also a source of annoyance and frustration. Men do not understand how women think, and vice versa. Each tries to make the other act more like a member of their own sex. Dandies may never try to please, but in this one area, they have a pleasing effect by adopting physical, physical, by adopting psychological traits of the opposite sex. They appeal to our inner narcissism. Women identify with Rudolph Valentino's delicacy and attention to detail in courtship. Men identify with Lou Andrea Salome's lack of interest, Andrea Salome's interest and commitment. In the Heian court of 11th century Japan, saying Shonagon, the writer of the Pillow book, was powerfully seductive for men, especially literary types. She was fiercely independent, wrote poetry with the best, and had a certain emotional distance. Men wanted more from her than just to be her friend or companion, as if she were another man. Charmed by her empathy for male psychology, they fell in love with her. This kind of mental transvestism, transvestism this kind of mental transvestism, the ability to enter the spirit of the opposite sex, adapt to their way of thinking, mirror their tastes and attitudes, can be a key element in seduction. It is a way of mesmerizing your victim. Damn. So basically, everybody like a little bit of formality or familiarity. They want to be a little bit familiar, with their same sex. It helps a lot. That makes them more comfortable. But then you gotta have it. But you gotta have the other part. You gotta have that. You gotta be a little mean to be fully a man to do this. Or if you're a girl, you gotta be a little colder. According to Freud, the human libido is essentially bisexual. Most people are in some way attracted to people of their own sex, but social constraints, varying with culture and historical period, repress these impulses. The dandy represents a release from such constraints. In several of Shakespeare's plays, a young girl, back then the female roles in the theater were actually played by male actors, has to go into disguise and dresses up as a boy, eliciting all kinds of sexual interest from men, who later are delighted to find out that the boy is actually a girl. Think, this should sound crazy, pause, but hey, think for example of Rosaline and As You Like It. Entertainers such as Josephine Baker, known as the Chocolate Dandy, and Marlene Dietrich would dress up as men in their acts, making themselves widely popular among men. Meanwhile, the slightly feminized male, the pretty boy, has always been seductive to women. Valentino embodied this quality. Elvis Presley had feminine features, the face, the hips, wore frilly pink shirts and eye makeup, and attracted the attention of women early on. The filmmaker Kenneth Anger said of Mick Jagger that it was a bisexual charm which constituted an important part of the attraction he had over young girls, and which acted upon their unconscious. That sounds crazy, but hey, it's deep. In Western culture for centuries, in fact, feminine beauty has been far more fetishized than male beauty. So it is understandable that a feminine looking face like that of Montgomery Clift would have been seductive power than that of John Wayne. The dandy figure has a place in politics as well. This nigga John F. Kennedy was just an ideal lover. The dandy figure has a place in politics as well. John F. Kennedy was a strange mix of the masculine and feminine, virile in his toughness with the Russians and in his White House lawn football games, yet feminine in his graceful and dapper appearance. The ambiguity was a large part of his appeal. This rarely was an incorrigible dandy in dress and manner. Some were suspicious of him as a result, but his courage in not caring what people thought of him also won him respect. And women, of course, adored him, for women always adore a dandy. They appreciate the gentleness of his manner, his aesthetic sense, his love of clothes, in other words, his feminine qualities. The mainstay of Disraeli's power was in fact a female fan, Queen Victoria. See, a lot of women, you be thinking these women don't be fucking their gay friends. Okay. Thinking that they just twerking on them gay niggas and all that. All right now. Trying to tell you. Okay now. Now this daddy let you know. Now I ain't saying be paranoid and all that, but don't be naive. Be aware, brother. Do not be misled by the surface disapproval your dandy pose may elicit. Society. Wait, hold on. Do not be misled by the surface disapproval your dandy pose may elicit. Society may publicize its distrust of androgyny in Christian theology. In Christian theology, Satan is often represented as androgynous, but this conceals its fascination. What is most seductive is often what is most repressed. Learn a playful dandyism, and you will become the magnet for people's dark, unrealized yearnings. The key to such power is ambiguity. In society, where the roles everyone plays are obvious, the refusal to conform to any standard and will excite interest. Be both masculine and feminine, impudent and charming, subtle and outrageous. Let other people worry about being socially acceptable. Those types are a dime a dozen, and you are after a power greater than they can imagine. And you are after a power greater than they can imagine. Damn. Say the daddies be feeling like they want to take over the goddamn world, not just a person. Sheesh. All right. The dangers of the dandy. Let's get it. The dandy's strength, but also the dandy's problem is that he or she often works through transgressive feelings relating to sex roles. Although this activity is highly charged and seductive, it is also dangerous since it touches on a source of great anxiety and insecurity. The greater dangers will often come from your own sex. Valentino had immense appeal for women, but men hated him. He was constantly dogged with accusations of being perversely unmasculine, and this caused him great pain. Salome was equally disliked by women. Nietzsche's sister, and perhaps his closest friend, considered her an evil witch and led a virulent campaign against her in the press long after the philosopher's death. There is little to be done in the face of resentment like this. Some dandies try to fight the image they themselves have created, but this is unwise. To, pro- to prove his masculinity, Valentino would engage in a boxing match. Anything to prove his masculinity. He would be he he wound up looking only desperate. Better to accept society's occasional gibes with grace and insolence. After all, the dandy's charm is that they don't really care what people think of them. That is how Andy Warhol played the game. When people tried, when people tired of his antics or some scandal erupted, instead of trying to defend himself, he would simply move on to some new image. Decadent bohemian, high society, portraitist, etc., as if to say, with a hint of disdain, that the problem lay not with him, but with other people's attention span. You feel me? Now that's cold. Because why the fuck is y'all focusing on me for so long and I'm worrying about what the hell I'm doing? Move the fuck along. Move the fuck around, man. You hear me? Another danger for the dandy is the fact that insolence has its limits. Brummel prided himself on two things: his trimness of figure and his acerbic wit. His main social patron was the Prince of Wales, who in later years grew plump. One night at dinner, the prince rang for the butler, and Brummel snittily remarked, "Do ring, Big Ben." The prince did not appreciate the joke. Had Brummel shown out and never spoke to him again without royal patronage, Brummel fell into poverty and madness. Damn. Woo, hold on. That shit sound crazy. Had Brummel shown up and never spoke to him again. Without royal patronage, Brummel fell into poverty and madness. Damn. Even a dandy, then, must measure out his impudence. A true dandy knows the difference between a theatrical staged teasing of the powerful and a remark that will truly hurt, offend, or insult. It is particularly important to avoid insulting those in a position to injure you. In fact, the pose may work best for those who can afford to offend: artists, bohemians, etc. In the work in the work world, you will probably have to modify and tone down your dandy image, but pleasantly different in amusement rather than a person who challenges the group's conventions and makes others feel insecure. Damn, that was cold. The dandy was good. He was better than I thought. All right. Rock with me, man. Like, subscribe, do whatever. Get with me, man. Fuck with your boy. Next, we doing the natural. All right. This shit was long. This was about an hour.